Okay, we're live and talking. Good evening, everybody. Glad to see people here. Still setting some stuff up, so I don't see how many people are here, but that's okay. We continue a conversation and see what I can see, which is not much right now. So welcome to everybody who is out there. I see the chat, but I can't read it. Yeah, that'll do it. And it's that keyboard. So, what's happened so far this week? I want to thank everybody informally. Well, I'll probably thank everybody formally as well. But thanks for the fantastic response we got to the Black Friday and Cyber Monday. You went way overboard. Everything is going really, really well. So we certainly appreciate your support, and we want everybody to know that yes, you will get your shipment. It may be a day or two, but you will get your shipment. It's just very, very large numbers, and we're very happy about that. So thanks a lot. Thanks to all of you. We will continue to get things packed up. One of the things that was originally one of my concerns about this whole plan was that I figured we would sell things on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and be completely out of stock of everything by the time we got to this time of the event. I'm happy to tell you that with the way things have been with shipping, we had no idea when our products would arrive from China and from Taiwan. So it was kind of a crapshoot completely without knowing what was going to happen. Right before Friday, we received about 65 boxes of product, and none of that is in the website. So for those of you who were afraid we would be out of stock of everything, so was I. And we instead have got an incredible amount of stuff, and we just have to figure out how we're going to get it open and get it labeled and all the rest of that, and at the same time getting everything done with the shipping. So long story short, everything is amazingly under control, much more than we anticipated, and we are moving along pretty nicely. And again, you have our complete gratitude for all the fantastic response we got. We really appreciate it. Oh, look at there. Beans in the corner. Finishing dinner. So I see him. I don't hear you, in case it matters. But so speak up, Mark. Mark joined us. Look at there.
I'm here. I'm ready to go. I think tonight's going to be fun. I got 4 projects I'm going to try to get accomplished. So let's see how well I do.
Random questions. Those are the best kind. There we go. Now I can actually see it. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Dawn, for getting the darn thing to work.
Yes, JB's best friend. We're just a little delayed because of the holidays. He's asking about it'll go out tonight, I hope. We got screwed up because of the holidays and Black Friday and all that stuff.
That's last week's. Yeah. Last week's prize has been sitting on the table in the other room with a big note on it. Don't forget this. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten it, but by the same token, it hasn't gotten done yet. It should get done either tonight or tomorrow sometime.
So I see JP Woodwork giving me a little mock that says only 4. We'll see if I get all 4 done. Some of them are handles, so you could make 16 out of some of them. I had to go a little slower today because I don't know where you guys are all from, but out here we had tons of snow in the last couple days. So if it was either I do the snow blowing or my wife does the snow blowing and I do some turning, she voted for the former. Kim is out there. Kim, I assume it's not snowing in Florida, Kim. So yeah, Mike asks a great question. Would it be possible to do some demos on hybrid casting in the future? We're clearly going to go and we talked to John already about doing some casting demos coming up in the future. That's when we'll switch back to our normal Thursdays, and we'll only be doing
once a month.
Once a month. Yeah. But yes, that is definitely something we're considering. Thank you.
This time of the year, as I've said before, John gets an opportunity to go out and hunt, which is his second love. And so that's why he has not been here as often as usual. He enjoys that time, and it's time not only that he gets to hunt, but time that he gets to hunt with his dad. And all of us understand that, I think.
Someone's mocking us that it's 81 in Caracal right now.
Well, 81 sounds a little warm. I'm just thrilled to death to have 14 inches of snow that I got to move. So, it's really much more fun if you have these activities available to you. Particularly a lot of fun when the guy who's supposed to come with the plow doesn't.
And 2 weeks ago, it was literally 70 degrees.
That's right.
2 weeks ago, we literally had 70, and then we're there. Can you go over finishing a hybrid wood resin blank? We keep getting scratches even after using magic juice. So yes, I'm going to do that a little tonight, but I will go over that. I'm going to do it slightly different using lacquer shot, but I can talk about it when I get to that point. If I forget, please ask me again to go over it. I'll talk about how I would do it. I can at least go over how I would do it.
When you say you're getting scratches, are you talking about very minute scratches, or are you talking about rather deep scratches? The difference being, of course, if you're starting your sanding regimen at 240 or 200, you're going to put some fairly substantial scratches into that product that you're going to have to remove with your next levels of sanding. So if you're talking about real minute scratches, that's what Mark is assuming you're saying. But I know when I ran into scratching problems early on, usually it was a leftover from the 240 grit. And that meant that I didn't go from 240 to 320 to 400, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, I would try to go from 240 to 400.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
One thing, though, that I think is really important, and if you want to cut down on your scratches, even if you start with a higher grit sandpaper, the first time, go with the lathe on, then shut the lathe off, go to the next grit, and go, basically with the grain. Even if you're doing an acrylic and there's no grain on it, go with, what would be considered with the grain, then go to the next sandpaper, put the lathe back on. We all want to sand with the lathe on because it's just quicker and simpler. But I'll tell you, stop the lathe and then every other one, go the other way, and that's going to knock out a lot of your scratching issues.
Particularly with the early grits.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I did not at that time, so you probably hit it on the head. Of course, at that time, I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, the mock is, if there's a mistake to be made, I made it. I've made all the mistakes that you can imagine over the course of 30 years. So yeah, so just scratch. So to remove the scratches, go down to that one. I think it's also imperative. It all depends on before or after where your scratches are you going to see your scratches, right? Remember that even if it's wood and you put on, any of your favorite CA finishes that go over it, you can then take the sandpaper and you can even wet sand it. I know John likes to use the Glue Boost Red to seal the pores on the inside of it, but I don't even necessarily do that. I find that as long as I keep my bushings on there and I'm doing it that way, I don't ever have to worry about it. But and I also have a couple videos on my YouTube channel. I think you've got a couple on your channel out there.
No, yours is
on
fine.
doing so on some. If it's okay, yeah, go to 10 Minutes to Better Pen Making on YouTube, and there's a whole demo out there on 3 different ways of finishing your pens. Yes, Kim, there are mistakes that you can't imagine, nor would you want to. And I will tell you, this is all sincerity. There is a scar on my arm here from one of my mistakes.
That's what happens when you don't learn to move fast enough. Although the stuff comes off the lathe, if something comes off of here while it's turning, even if it's a pen part, it moves amazingly fast.
Mine was a 14-inch bowl.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Dean.
Yep.
Flex again. That's not really a flex, dude. When you hit 60, there is no flexing.
It's a big muscle move.
Yeah. So we got to wait for Dean to come back before we can officially start.
Yeah.
But
5 minutes.
if it's okay to do a quick plug for the MPG?
Sure, absolutely.
So I said that I was going to talk about it this week. Midwest Pen Turners Gathering, April 17th and 18th, Hoffman Estates, Illinois. If you haven't signed up, you're going to want to sign up. The sooner you sign up, the more tickets you get to the lathe. We've worked out a deal with Jet Powermatic, so we are planning on having a Powermatic lathe a Jet lathe that we will be giving away. It's the same lathe we've been giving away for the last 5 years. We thank Jet for doing that. Then there's a whole bunch of other gifts. Normally, I don't know what I have, but in previous years, I know Easywood has donated a set of tools that we give away on the big one, and then we also give away about $6,000 to $7,000 in other raffle items that come in that have no bearing on how early you sign up. The only reason I want to bring it up now is if you sign up now, don't forget, now through the end of the year, come January, the hotel, Marriott, has offered us a great deal on the rooms. They're basically knocking off $30 a night as a way to say sorry for some of the challenges that we had last year and an incentive to get that going. And anybody who signs up through the Marriott, Marriott is also, they called me up and said that they're going to throw in an added bonus, that there will be a raffle for one night anywhere you want to use it through the Marriott afterwards. So I thought that was nice of them to give me another bonus. So some of the demos that are going, I know that I'm doing one on introduction to pen making. I know John is doing one on casting. Fred is going to be doing one. We just got one. Al Miyake said that he would do one on segmenting, which I really like. Your buddy in who's the one gentleman from Wisconsin?
Rob
Nelson is going to do one on threading.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have that one. Yeah. Oh, is he? Nice to see you, Rob. We're also working on getting Easywood Wood Tools to be doing another one. So yes, hotel needs to be booked. You can see Donna mentions hotels need to be booked by 12/31 for special pricing. After January 1, it goes back up to their normal pricing.
We did do a video MPG 1 year, just for reference sake. And it's wonderful for the people watching. But boy, it is a lot of work for the people demonstrating. Doing a demonstration in person, you get some feedback, you get people talking in the group, you get some kind of resource going back and forth. When you have to put that all onto a video and set it up so that it will run on its own, it is a tremendous amount more work. So, I can tell you that I did a couple of the presentations in that one, and I usually do 2 or 3 at the actual event. I can do 2 or 3 at the actual event, and they're less work than one that's going to be on video.
Here's an excellent question. Are the demos staggered so you can catch them all or most? Actually, what we always do is that there's always 2 going on at one point. So, and I try to be really good about it. I try to have either a pen. There's like 3 or 4 that are non-pen related, things like sharpening and things like that. So I'll try to match up one of those. And then I'll do things that like you and I are generally against each other because I'm doing the introduction to pen making, and you in the past you've done marketing and sales. Normally, the person who's doing the beginning is not going to be interested in marketing sales. So we do spend a lot of time trying to get things that are matched up against each other.
Okay. And thank you, sir. So yeah, let's get started. First of all, as usual, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I, as usual, want to thank Dean for constantly being here and constantly keeping us on track. Without him, we just don't exist. As I said earlier, this time, John honestly is not doing hunting. The roads in this part of the country are less than favorable. And John has a section of road that, as most of you probably know, he was at one time, he is a retired sheriff's police, so he knows the roads pretty well. And he said this particular strip of road that he would be traveling around 1 o'clock in the morning can be very treacherous, and he was just afraid that he would spend some time in the ditch, which shouldn't sound inviting at all.
Yeah, but in the past, he's always been able to do it with Mars lights on the top of the car. Now he'd have to do it without the Mars lights. So that'd be the challenge for him.
I think he was afraid he was going to have to come down from 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's
somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 or 60. So, but at any rate, we will see him again soon. And the question that was asked earlier about casting, yes, as we get into the new year, John will be taking a lot of these events and showing us lots more about casting. We haven't forgotten about casting. We've been trying to do things with Mark because these are more general appeal. Let's put it that way. Anybody who knows how to turn and anybody who has any kind of a lathe can do the things that Mark has been doing. They may not know all the different techniques, and that's what we're hoping you'll gain from watching this presentation. So yes, we're doing an awful lot of trying to acquaint you with the products that are available and get some interest in some of the things that can be very useful to you, but at the same time, they're not widely known about. Is that a good sentence? At any rate, so that's the purpose of what we're doing now. And without too much additional conversation, I think I should just let Mark do his thing.
So there was one question that I do want to answer. Am I looking for people to do some help for the MPG? Yes, Donna will pop in and tell you the email to send it to, but it's basically mpginfo@yahoo.com. Send us an information there. They can also send it to sales at Exotic Blanks, and they'll forward it if you're looking to help us and do some volunteers.
We get tremendous backing from the clubs that Mark is in Chicago as well. They just are fantastic people. They will come out and just volunteer and do all kinds of stuff. Exotic Blanks brings our trailer down about Thursday night at 8 o'clock because we work here until then. And there's a raft of people from the different clubs that come running out to help us get stuff out of it. So it's an amazing group. We did craft shows for 15 years before we started this stuff, and I have never had that kind of help. And it's just a really good group, and Mark has great support from a lot of his friends. And again, I'll get out of here.
All right.
Take it, Mark. Do for us.
All right. As always, Dean is monitoring the questions in the corner. I can also be watching them, so if you see my eyes drift away from the camera, I'm simply trying to read the questions. We'll try to take logical breaks for when we're going to be doing it. But without any further ado, let's take a look at, tonight we promised host gifts or hostess gifts. And I'm going to give you 3 or 4 small little projects that you can do as a host gift, as a last minute gift for someone. If you're invited to a party, I really wouldn't know because I'm rarely ever invited to parties. But I'm going to go from experience or what people tell. And then I've got 4 really cool little projects that you can make for anybody who's going to be doing a party. So let's start out with some of the things that you can do that I'm not going to necessarily talk about. So these are really cool little projects that you can have. And I think I brought these up at a previous one, but the crochet set's always a real popular one. This one, it goes out nice as a little party gift for someone. This one simply uses a pen blank. If you only have pen blanks at your house, this is a wine bottle opener. And who doesn't need this one come December 31st at about 11:59? So this is just done with simple pen blanks, and it pulls it out.
I always use the high quality wine where you unscrew the top.
We did one of the first, if you want to go back to looking at some of the other videos that we did, one of the first we did was the salt and pepper set, but I did the crank ones. These are the subsequent shaker ones. Now, once again, it's something that I talk about all the time. What differentiates these is the fact that I'm doing Spectraply, the fact that I'm incorporating the colors. So if I know that they went to a special school, I can incorporate their school colors. If they're a Florida Gator, I've got the Florida Gators. If they're Notre Dame, we've got Notre Dame colors. So you can do that. You can know what the color of their kitchen is. So just another little simple example of something you can do. When I was talking about pepper mills, these are two other little pepper mills that you can do. I love these things. These are the hand pump pepper mills. This one is a little easier to make because you're just doing the body on it. This one, you incorporate it, you take a little chunk of the wood on top of it, and you incorporate that into the push button. These are all great projects to do. This is something that I did that at one point was inspired by Ed.
Actually, young Ed, my son.
This is going to come in handy after we take a look at the first project that I'm going to do. The first project that I'm going to do is going to be with barbecue. So these are just meat claws that you can use, and I used I don't know if you can get a close look on that, Dean, with the close-up camera. And beautiful resin on these things that has a glitter in it. So I love that one. Always a popular one for a host or hostess gift. We talked about this one the first week that we did this one. Ice cream scoop. And surprisingly, this is the nutmeg. And Ed, you said surprisingly, there's been a lot of people who have picked this component set up. And this was one of the first things that we did like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's a great little project. And then what we're going to talk about tonight. The first one is, just to keep you interested, it's a barbecue set. And it's got a fork. It's got some prongs in there. We're going to get to all of them. But let's take a look at one piece that I finished. This is the spatula. And Dean, if you want to go to the close-up shot on this one. No, it's there. But that's a spatula. And it meets that criteria, right? I didn't use just a wood piece of maple. I did something. So this is a half wood, half acrylic. Another thing that we're going to do tonight is bottle stoppers. Once again, this one's half wood, half acrylic. And if anybody has any idea where I got the piece, it's a scrap from a pepper mill when I turned a pepper mill. And we'll talk about that one. I like this one. If there's a car fan in your life, this is a bottle stopper that features a little manual transmission knob on it. And it's simply, you just turn the base on here, and that's just something you screw on right on top. We're going to talk tonight about making a razor and brush set. And I'll show you this one completed in a few minutes. And then finally, the last thing that we're going to do is a nice little, would you call this a hostess set?
I guess so, yeah.
A hostess set of, this one's a fork, there's a knife. I'll show you everything that we're going to do on this one.
Cheese products.
Cheese products, yeah, that's it. And if you can guess, I chose green and red. What a nice holiday set of colors that I picked for that one. So, are we ready to start? Go for it. All right. So let's start out with making this handle. And so it's not nearly as complicated as you would think. So I'm going to start out by chucking up my chalk. And so tonight, because I'm going to do a lot of stuff on chuck, tonight I brought my favorite. I know that in the past I've used other ones. Tonight I'm going to be using the Easy Wood chuck. So notice that there's no jaws in it. So what I'm going to do is I want to mount my blank. And so what I did, because I'm really consistent on the way that I want this barbecue set to come out. So I took a blank similar to this one. It's a peppermill blank. And so you can see here, this one's half wood, half acrylic. So you can see that the wood is in there. And what I did was I numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4. I cut it this way, and these are the blanks that I'm going to use for making my handles. Then you're going to see, because I've talked about this in the past too, I keep saying I talked about a lot of this stuff, just to kind of remind you on this stuff, is I use every single scrap of everything that I have. So you're going to see that I'm going to make another project out of this one when I'm done. So let's get into actually preparing the blank. So I'm going to take my jaws. The nice thing about using this chuck is that there's no numbering on your jaws. So I don't have to worry about it. I simply take it, push it in, spin it, lock them in, lock them in. I love the fact that this thing's got a speed ring, so I can open up the jaws to where I want it. And since I used number 1 on that first piece, here's number 2. So I'm going to put this in my chuck. I'm going to roughly lock it in. Then I'm going to take my handle, lock it in the chuck, go to the other hole, make sure I lock it into the chuck. Then I'm going to take my drill bit, and let's do something real fancy here that we rarely ever do. And let's refer to the instructions. The instructions on this one, pretty clear. It says use an 11 and 30 seconds drill bit. So this is an 11 and 30 seconds drill bit. And we're just going to drill a hole into this blank. And one of the things I always know people talk about or have a challenge is, how far and how deep do I want to drill it? So if I refer to the instructions right over here, it says that I want to use that 11 and 30 seconds, and I want to go 2.5 inches deep. So what I do is I take a piece of blue painter's tape. I measure off on my drill bit 2.5 inches, put my blue painter's tape on there, wrap it around, and now I know all I got to do is bury my drill bit up into that point. So with that, we're ready to go. It's lined up in there. I'm looking for my mask. I tell people I always use safety. Safety is important. I'll normally have on my mask, and I'll have on an N95 mask also. But we're ready to go. So pull this out a little bit, lock it down. It doesn't have to be really fast for my drilling process. Right about there. Drill it in. Clear it out. It's always hard to do this over a camera. So I'm not blocking this other camera that's sitting in front of me. Drill it in. Clear it out. And now I'm where I gotta be. So I got the hole drilled in there. I know that it's exactly 2.5. So I can pop this out. Put this back here. Now we have a couple options on the other side, right? So let me take this off. I can either unscrew that and put on this little piece that I have, which is short mandrel, and it just, this is the cool part. Watch. If I drill that in, it's self-threading. So notice I drilled it in and that threaded on there really nice and tight. So that's why I like to use that drill bit. Now, remember, I gotta screw this thing in all the way down to the 2.5 inches. So where is my eye bolt? I brought an eye bolt. And you can have a fancy threading system, but the eye bolt works just as well. I can simply take the eye bolt, put it in, and I can keep screwing this all the way in. I'm not going to do it now because I think it'll be, watching paint dry and watching someone screw an eye bolt in. Basically works the same thing. I'm threading the wood using this eye bolt. Now, if you don't want to go through this threading process, you can always drill one size bigger than the 11/32, and then just take the piece when we're done and glue it in. So let's show you what piece I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing the fork. So this is the piece that we're gonna be doing. And you can see here, this will simply, because it's threaded in, match into it, pulls it, and we're fine. So I am gonna, instead of using the chuck that I did last time, which is this thing, we're gonna do a little something different. And we're gonna use the Easy Wood new piece on here. And I'll explain why I'm gonna do that one in a matter of seconds. So I'm gonna pop these jaws off. Any questions so far? Can an insert be used? Question came up, can an insert be used? That's the weird thing. I'm pretty sure you could find an insert, but you'd have to find the threading on that one. I think it's a 3/8 inch threading. So I think that's going to be fine with any of our other inserts that we're using. So we can
check the threading.
We can test it, right?
That's a thought.
I'm having I'll test that while Ed's talking in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to put this on. Then I'm going to take the piece that I just had, thread it on. And I'm ready to turn. And we talked about this last time, but I want to kind of make sure that I hit the point on here. I'm really, really, really wild about safety. So I am going to put this on there. And the first thing you're going to say is, well, Mark, if we do this, we're going to make an indentation in that bottom. We're going to dent that bottom, right? Well, that's the cool part about this thing, and I left it here, is when I'm making this, this is the top. The bottom has this little cover that goes over it. So if I pull this off, just because I didn't glue it on, I can dent that bottom with absolutely no problem and keep it in place. If I didn't want to dent it, what I'd use is those Delrin bushings that we talked about in the past. I'd put a little Delrin bushing on here, and I wouldn't have to worry about it. So now we're ready to actually do some turning. So I'm going to use my round cutter. Actually, just because people have asked, can I use traditional tools? I will start out with a traditional bowl gouge just to round this off. Well, I knew that was a problem. I apologize for that. Everything is fine. I saw what happened. I didn't have my headstock tightened up when I was doing it, and it caused a little bit of an issue there. And when I went to stop it, it jumped. So, yes. Did you see the headstop top on here? Oh yeah. The headstop top on there was not where I wanted it. So we'll go back to normal tools or my Easy Wood tools.
Yeah, fork for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh. Where did I put it down?
I see it. Never mind. Go ahead.
Almost round. It's just a personal choice. Excellent question. Why not use the rougher with the personal? For me, it's just I love using the round tool, and that's just a tool that I've always used. So let me just finish rounding it off. That was my foot. This thing is going at 2950. Is basically, I think that's the speed that this thing is at. For there. And so there we go. We've kind of rounded it. So now we got to put those tenons on it, right? So the first thing says, if I follow the instructions on it, my first tenon on the top side is got to be 7/16 wide, and the tenon is going to be 0.74. So the cool thing about Easy Wood Tools is, where's my square cutter? If I take a look at my Easy Wood cutter, the irony is when I wanted to figure out how long it is, and I know my tape measure is upside down for you, it's exactly 7/16. So the tenon on this side is going to be 7/16. So the question people ask all the time then is, how do I get down to 0.74, right? And so there's a couple different ways. One of the ways is that I can, and I love doing this one, I can just use any kind of scale that I have, set this to 0.74, and it's going to, whenever I get down to where I want to be, this is going to be perfect for it. The other way that I like to do is using a caliper. So you can see here, here's my caliper. If you don't have one of these, I think this is a great investment. So now
you can buy digital calipers at Harbor Freight for about $20. So they don't have to be expensive. When you go online and try to find them, they are very difficult to find that are not real pricey. But yeah, I've got probably 30 of them, and all various different qualities. I didn't spend more than $15 for any of them. I buy them on sale.
I like this one. I mean, it's really nice. I don't know, Dan, if you can get a close up on it. But you can see I've got it 0.74. And so that's how I know how far my tenon's got to be. And you can see here, the irony is, it's almost right the size of that, the bushing that's in, it's not bushing, but the thing in there that's holding it. So if I take my square tool, and I'm going to nibble this in, as opposed to go just pressing it in. I like to use the tool, and I'll do it from on top so you can get a better idea. I'm going to take about a quarter of the bushing bit and work my way down until I get it all the way across. Needs a little bit of work, but not that much. I remember when I first used to watch Norm Abram, and Norm got on a lathe at one point, and he did it. And Ed and I were talking about this earlier, where he held the caliper up this way and then used one hand to hold this in. I'm not to that level. I mean, to me, that's a little scary. So I will constantly be just taking a little bit of a cut and checking it. And remember, when I'm turning it on this side, I'm only taking off half the amount of what I see because the other half is coming off the other side. Just a little bit more. You can also, just because I have a ton of tools with me, you can also just use a simple parting tool. So if you wanted to do it with a parting tool, the nice thing about doing a parting tool is you can do just the end on just right there. Perfect. I don't think I can ask for it any more perfect than that. So now I'll just take my parting tool or my easy wood tool. So I got my tenon on that. And that's tight. So the tenon on the other side says it's got to be 0.98. So if I just unscrew this and I go to 0.98, you see that it's got it set up to be 0.98 on this one. It's going to be the same exact way that I did that other side. And it's calling for the same 7/16 of an inch tenon. So I'm going to use my tool and I'm just going to nibble away at it. You're going to see here, it's not a real deep cut on this side. Let's see how close we are. We're almost there already. So I might just find it now on the end. Right? If I just find it now on the end, which is really good, that one's in there tight. Now I know if I undercut it a little or I didn't do it exactly the way I wanted to, I can still adjust it and have something to glue into. Needs just a hair more right there. And I could do my parting tool if I wanted to. And it's through. Oh, I don't know if you can see it. It's exactly halfway. So that means now all I got to do is do my final shaping. And I'll do that right now. Any questions so far, Dean? So I'll go back to, just because it's my favorite, I'm going to go back to the rounding. So I'm going to use my tool here. Now, I'll tell you this. The instructions are overkill on this because it gives you an exact dimension on here of how big that lip is going to be and everything else. I'll tell you that metal that we're going to put over the top of this one is so small. If I take a look at this piece, which is right next to it, you can see it's barely a nick on there. And it's the same on the top. So I'm going to just do that one by hand. And if you notice the way I did my last one, I like to make sure that I have, that everything kind of looks like a matching set on here, right? So I can take a set of calipers if I have, or I can use my, and I can just come in here, rough it out, come in here and say, right about there, right about here. So when I line it up, I can use this tool to tell, and I'm actually pretty close to it right there, so that I get something that looks kind of uniform across the entire set of tools that we're making. Now, one of the things that you can do, and I don't know if I should tell people this because I can always tell working on here, but if you're new to this stuff and you haven't done a lot of this stuff, give yourself a little bit of a cheat and leave this edge. And when you're going over it with sandpaper, just roll it a little. Just a little with the sandpaper. That's going to give you that edge that's going to look like it's fading into the part that you have up there. So let me just do a little bit more of this one, and we're going to call this one done. Any questions? Everybody still awake? Now I knew on my last one, you can still see I left my ridge here. And on my last one, I did a little bit of tapering in it. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I got my handle. Now I'm simply going to take this, turn it off. And I'm not going to bore you a lot with going through sanding. But I am going to sand this. I think that looks pretty cool. So If I'm doing a pen, I agree with you at 100%. I'm starting out with 200 grit. That's all I'm going to start out. Maybe even 320, somewhere in that range. But for something like this, because I want to get it consistent across it, I might just start out with something else. So I think this is 150. I like to drape it over. It is sandpaper, not shaping paper. So I'm not intending to change the shape on this. But you can see here I can roll that edge a little if I wanted to. If I want to adjust that a little. And instead of trying to do it with sandpaper, we're going to do it with the tool. Now I'm going to stay away from that edge because I know that I've already set that edge. And with that, I'm going to do a hair more sanding, and I'm not going to do that much more on this one. I think I gave you a pretty good idea of how I make this. And there you go. I'm trying to read the comments to see if there's any questions or anything on it. Any questions on the first project? You know, I'll tell you, to get the finish on there that I did on this one is all I did was the same way that I talked about it in one of the first demos that we did here on a Tuesday night is 2 coats of shellac. And you guys sell the shellac now, my favorite, yellow bottle shellac, yellow-orange bottle of shellac on there. Zinsser, yep. And then what I do after that is once I get that on, let it sit overnight. And then I will go on. You know what? It's an excellent point that I didn't make. Is wherever that round thing is, I screwed the top of this in and then I have a nail on my wall. Like I said, when I do a finishing on a lot of it. So I'll spray it. And then what I'll do is put it back on the lathe. I'll 4/0 steel wool it down. And then I put on 3-4 coats of lacquer shot. And that's all there is to it. What RPMs do you turn your acrylics? In general, I turn everything, anything on a spindle at the highest that I feel comfortable with. So I know that's not a straight answer on it. It's the highest that you feel comfortable with it. So, 2400, 2600, it's going to be fine. The nice thing about it is, I will tell you, try it. Try turning it 300 or 400 RPM and then crank it up to something like this, and you'll see that you got less resistance. And the less resistance makes that cut smoother, makes the cut flatter, and it just makes it easier to handle on that one.
I'm asking about temperature. How do you use shellac and other spray in low temperature?
The nice thing about my situation is I do this down. So as a professional turner, and you guys are all professional turners now, start to use the phrase studio. So when I'm in my studio, I will spray at whatever. Now, the reality is my studio is my basement. For some, your studio is your garage. But in my case, I've got my basement. It never, ever, ever gets below 65 degrees. So I'm always fine with staying in my basement for doing any of it. I would just say read the can on there and shoot within whatever the expectations on the can is.
Try to keep your materials warm. If you're coming out to do something and you've been inside, and your stuff has been stored outside. In other words, if you left that handle just as it is there and left it on the lathe outside, out in the garage, when you came back out, it would be very cold. If instead you took it into the house with you, when you come back out, you can put it back on, and the material itself is not terribly cold. So try to control your material so that you're not trying to coat something that is freezing cold. The cold is a challenge.
Yeah, just asked an excellent question about ventilation issues also in my house. No, I don't really have a huge ventilation issue. There are fans in the house that make sure that I pull it all the way out. There is a window close to it, so I can always crack the window in on that one. But I don't have any real big issue of doing it inside my house. Oh, yeah. Ed is pointing up to the air filtration system. So there is also an air filtration system. So that's handle number one. If you'd like, do I do the giveaway? And yes, Harold, it was funny. I read it, and that's why I shouldn't read while I'm just about to put my my drink in my mouth.
Cheese set works out real well too if you decide to make a cheese board with it. It's a good set of little tools, but if you make a cheese board to go with it, if you're selling your stuff, or if you're giving it as gifts, there's lots of things you can do with cheese boards. They're inexpensive and it uses a lot of simple materials.
Do you know how to make a cheese board?
Do I know how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a piece of cheese and have it watch one of my videos.
Uh-huh.
Come on, that was good. You know what? Is that what you're giving away? Is that what you're giving away?
No.
Let's do that next. Let's do that one next.
That was awful nice. Okay. So you're getting set up for the
I'll do the cheese things next.
cheese things? Okay. Why don't you tell him a little bit about what you're doing while he's getting people to type cheese?
I'm gonna give them all one split second, and let me get it all set up first, and then yes, I will promise you I will do that. All right. While Dean is doing the setup, we're going to talk about doing the cheese set. And I love this thing. So this is a new cheese set. As I said, I did it in Christmas colors. Dean, you want to go to the smaller? And it's exactly what Dean showed. So this one consists of a prong set, I guess, or a fork. This one's got a little bit of a cutter type spatula. This one is the spade. And last one is the knife, the paring knife, if you will. And Dean, you want to throw the setup one more time real quick so you can see what we're working on? So that's what we're going to be making. So,
Oh, thanks. Yeah. They made a joke. I don't know. Can they hear me now? Can somebody say thumbs up or give me a thumbs if they can hear me now? But they said, now that we're entered in the chat, how do we get entered into the drawing? Because, of course, Dean can't type, talk, and think all at the same time.
all right, Dean, you want to go back to the front?
Yep. Thanks, Harold.
All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm simply going to pick the next piece out of here. And let's do the, I marked this one, we'll do this one, is the spade.
Thank you.
Oh, that's the nicer, cleaner one.
That's the gift box that comes in. Oh, well, I can do this. And that's the gift box that the whole set comes in. And that tells you what you're getting, kind of.
So what I did before we get too deep into this one, I simply took these come with the same screw-in things, the B-certs that we've talked about in the past. So there's just a different form factor on the B-certs that they give you. So you drill a hole into here and you glue the B-cert into it. Now, one thing that I want to talk about, and we talked about it last time, is when you do this, make sure that you actually set these up for the actual item that you're putting into it. So notice here, I marked here that that's the spade, and I put the spade in here. Notice when it's on there, it's lined up perfectly flat. So if I took the spade and I put it into a different B-cert, it may not finish off and match up with the front on this one. I'm trying to read the comments, and we got a ton of
cheeses.
cheeses.
A bunch of cheese heads.
Notice here on this one, it didn't line up. So that's why when I glue them in, I make sure that I have them marked. Now, you're going to say, someone's going to say, and let's watch it in the comments, Mark, what if I forget about doing that? Let's see if someone puts that in the comment. Mark, what if I forget about doing that?
Mark, Robert asks, does your live center have a little cup on the end of it?
No, it's just been abused. No, it's simply that it's been abused. It should be a point center. Did anybody yet ask what if we don't do it? Mark, what if I forget about doing this? Thank you, Harold. I will tell you this. I'll take that exact same block, go to Home Depot, find these little rubber washers. What does that give me? Is that if I put the rubber washer on here, and of course you tell people, well, the reason that the rubber washer is on there so it doesn't seize in and that you can still take this apart when I want to actually clean it. But the nice thing is I can take that rubber washer and it can be tightened up. So now it's perfectly flat on here. And if you look, it's really in there solid. So that little rubber washer buys you a lot of, oops, I forgot to do. So which one do I have on? I'm going to do the spade. Now, this is a new mandrel. What is this one called, Ed? It's called, first time I'm turning on this is right now. I saw this on Ed's website, and it's called the Handle Anything Lathe Chuck Set. And so you can see here, it's got the thing I really like about it is it's got a threaded, the rod is actually threaded. And it comes with 2 different sets of threading that you can use. And one of them is the 3/8 inch threading so that this goes on perfectly, tightens up into it. Then I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit of support on it. And we've talked about this ones in demos in the past. This is a Delrin bushing. And I'm simply going to take my Delrin bushing, put it on here. Now, I am going to warn you that because of the fact that we had to use an adapter on this one, we had to go from 1 1/4 to an inch adapter. We didn't have an adapter that had a hole through it. And if the adapter has a hole through it, there's no problem with it. In this case, the adapter didn't have a hole that goes through it. It's a solid adapter. And so the threaded rod that's here, or the rod that's holding this into place, I couldn't push all the way in. So if this was normally, if you've got a smaller lathe that only takes the 1 inch part on here, you just screw it in and that threaded rod's going to go in. So all I did was I got myself a couple spacers.
David asks, so your Delrin bushing is a pen bushing installed backwards? Question mark.
My Delrin bushing is the bushings that I use when I want to do my CA finishes. And so it's basically a pen bushing that we're doing, and I've got it so that it goes in backwards. And I'm only using that so you can see here so it doesn't mar the wood. They talk about in the instructions about having a piece that's a little bit bigger and then it'll mar, then that way, if you're going to mar the wood and stuff like that. Now, the cool part about it is when I made this fork, and thank you for the question, because now I'm going to use that bushing or that Delrin as my bushing for what this flat part of the bottom is going to look like, so that they'll all be very, very consistent. So any questions on my setup?
I missed one. I don't know exactly where it was at. So maybe you can digest it. It's Chris asked, then why don't I have a rubber washer on the one you lined up correctly?
Oh yeah, you don't need it. That was the question. Sorry, let's make sure I'm real clear on here. If you did the gluing the right way and you actually marked it, and then when you glued it in, you don't need it at all. The point that I wanted to make was, especially when you're using Spectraply, you may not remember all the things, and if you messed it up, there's just a way to get around it and use that rubber washer on it. If you want to keep that rubber washer on there, even if it's lined up perfectly, it'll work perfectly fine. I just put that on there because I wanted to show you that I've seen so many things when people start using Spectraply where the first time they turn it, they forget the step of doing the pre-alignment on it. And so when they're done with it, the piece looks really nice. It's done. It's got a great finish on it, but they forgot that added step of making sure that that alignment works on it. So hopefully that answered that. Oh, no, yeah. And in this case, I would tell you, let's be real clear on this one. I want to be clear. I will always line mine up in front so I don't have to worry about that, and my sets always match. So part of this demo is to try to tell you and I don't even want to say the right way, because my way is not necessarily the right way. My way is simply the way that I do it. And so I'm just trying to tell you that, if you make a mistake, there's a million ways of getting out of it. So same thing, I'm going to turn this on. Notice I left a piece of tape on there. It didn't mean anything to me. I've rounded it. As always, I want to just go over this. I can see where you're, the front screen. The tool always goes in level. Never want to see it go that way. Never want to see it go this way. It's always in level. When I'm cutting and I'm making my initial cuts, I'm doing my rough cuts on this point. So if you notice the tool, when I put it in, it's coming in this way. And I'm making all my initial cuts with it this way. When I get it down that I want to get those nice finishing cuts in it, I'm going to turn it to a 45-degree angle. What does that buy me? That buys me that this is the part of the cutter head that I've gotten beaten up. This is the part of cutter head that's going to do that fresh little new cut into it. And then when I rotate this cutter head, I'm always rotating it counterclockwise. So this part that's gotten a little beaten up is going to be the part that's going to get a lot beaten up. And there's always a fresh little cutter head on that side. Anybody who's done a pen, you now know how this one's going to look. So now I've used this end here. Down here is my bushing. And I'm just going to simply round off this little bit of a top. So as I've talked about in the past, I think one of the things everybody really wants to do is show off your skill and do something cool to the handle or do something different and put in some sort of pattern into it. Something on this that's that small doesn't afford you a lot of real estate. And as I pointed out in one of my first demos, this is a pizza cutter that we did. And we showed off all the incredible skill that we have for coves and roundovers and all this other stuff. This is just not comfortable to use. So on this, you can see very simple design. I really wanted to show you how I do the setup on it. And my sandpaper is over here. So I can simply take this now, pop it off. In this case, I'm starting with I think this is 320. It's either 220 or 320. Because it's more of a pen to me. This is all we've done was make a pen. Finish on it. You can go through and you can do any of your normal CA finishes. Whatever CA finish that you're feeling comfortable with. Works fine on any of this one. As Ed pointed out, especially on something like this, because there's a little bit more to it, I would stop the lathe. And I am going to go the other way to make sure I'm relieving myself of any kind of scratches that I would have put in place on that one. And then I progress through my sandpapers and my sandpapers, but without any further ado, nothing like watching someone sand.
Our question was asked earlier by Tom. Once you got to this stage with SpectraPly, does it make sense to you, if you're not going to use a CA finish, to just put thin CA over the top of that so that you can do future things to it without taking a chance of sanding the two colors together? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Follow me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it will.
It made sense to me.
The other thing is, if you're not going to be doing, you don't want to do a CA finish on top of this one, I'll tell you the Yorkshire grits. I will go through my sanding process on here, and I will use Yorkshire grit. And the Yorkshire grit's going to give it a little bit of depth. And so then you don't have to worry about it. But I mean, if you,
That's got kind of a background wax to it. That's not going to make it run.
No.
Okay.
Not at all. But I know people talk about it a lot. But you can see here, because I'm using my sandpaper as sandpaper and I'm not using it as shaping paper, I don't get a lot of bleed.
No, you don't get any bleed at all on that. You're doing very well. The question is, how do we keep it that way as we move through the?
And it's starting out with 320, somewhere in that range, and making sure that my tool is doing the tool work and my sandpaper is just doing the finishing work. If I start out with 100 or something like that, I am going to get a noticeable difference. And I forgot what I said this one was. Was this the spade? And so I will unscrew this one. How are we doing on time?
708.
Okay. I think I said this one was the spade. Yep. Popped it in tight, and there you go. And that answers that question before. Because I went through that initial step, I don't have to have that rubber little insert in there. If I didn't do that one and I wanted to put that rubber insert in there, I can put the rubber insert in it. Now, the other thing that you can always do is just get it close enough and do a dip of glue in there, and you're going to be fine too. Right? No one's going to be able to tell if it's there or there, and just do a dip of glue on it. I'll tell you, I'd much rather have it so it locks in perfectly. So now I've got 2 parts to the set done. And if I was to go through and do the whole thing, the nice thing about this is if you keep these handles at a reasonable position in here, in terms of handle depth on it, the gift box becomes the storage box on it too. So if I made that handle significantly longer, well, this would be up here. If I made those handles significantly longer, they wouldn't fit into the gift box. This way, everything fits into that gift box. And you're giving them a nice whole set. Any questions?
No questions, Mark. I see Sarah said looks great. Terry says stabilized and BL buff produces a very nice finish on that.
Well,
most of the other questions
hang on. Let's amplify on that one. That's a great comment, Terry. So let's make sure everybody heard that one. So what was it again, Dean? What's stabilized? So if you use stabilized wood is kind of nice because it always produces a nice finish. But you can get away, especially on a lot of these kitchen-related items, you can get away with, buffing them out and using something like Yorkshire grit on any of this stuff, or even shellac, or going, you could put a CA finish on it like we would a pen, or you can go to lacquer shot or any kind of the lacquers that you have out there on this stuff. How would I finish this? Did someone ask? I'm waiting to see if someone asked, how would you finish that, Mark?
I'm sure if you wait a little bit, Harold will.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate Harold. I use my eye bolt. I screw it onto my eye bolt, if I am going to do a lacquer shot finish on there, or I'm going to do any kind of spray finish on it, I put it on my eye. Thank you. I will put it on an eye hook, and I will simply put my finish on there that way. Spray it on there. If I'm going to be doing it on the lathe, remember we made those awesome bushings last week. We can use those bushings on here also to apply the finish on here. And if you weren't here for last week's, go back and watch last week's where we took a chunk of Delrin and we made basically a universal bushing for one of the things that we were making. Any questions on this project? All right. So now I am going to do where is the So if you're looking for this mandrel or this setup, I literally can't give you much more than what I just did today. But it looks like it could be a lot of fun. And I can use it to hold on to a lot of different things. So I showed you how to use the Easy Wood mandrel, right? And I showed you how to take the jaws off it, and that we can use the bottle chuck in there with the 3/8 one. Now let's make a bottle stopper, and we're simply going to use that. What's the maker on this one?
It's available at Exotic Plants.
Yeah, it's one of yours. I'll tell you, it's one of my favorites. Same thing. So anybody want to figure out what I did on this one? I'm not even going to answer it. I drilled this at, what drill bit did I use from last time? I'm waiting to see. I know there's a little bit of a delay. 12.5. If anybody says 12.1130, 12.5. 1130 seconds was fine on the last one because it's a different manufacturer of the B-cert. On this one, it was 12.5 or 12 would work too. So I use B-certs. And if you read the instructions on a B-cert, it says glue it at a half inch and then glue it in. John Underhill taught me on a couple weeks ago to use the 12.5, which is just a hair smaller. And this thing fits so much better on it. So now I'm going to put that on there. If you're not comfortable with turning on even a bottle stopper and you want some sort of spacer on it, some little position on this end, I would rather not do that because that's just going to mar the end and it's not going to give me a lot of room for design. So I can take that, put it in there, lock it in, and now we're going to make a bottle stopper. And you can see here, this is the original one that I did. That I mentioned. Half wood, half acrylic. This is one of your cat blanks, right, Ed?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that cat blank. I'm sorry?
Ocelot is the pattern name.
Ocelot. And if you know someone who's into having their car, you can definitely remember a lot of this stuff and everything that we're doing now can be personalized. Dean, you want to go back to the front camera, please? So it can be personalized, right? We can talk about people's favorite colors. We can talk about, in this case, if they had a car and they wanted to do it in the car colors of their favorite car. Is this their favorite color? Is this the colors on their kitchen? That little handle set that we did it in Christmas colors. We use Spectraply. So I know people like to use wood, and I have no problem with wood. I like to do something that puts that extra little piece of knowledge in there that they know that we did something based on knowledge that we have of them. If we know that they're a orange person or that they love, if you're going to use wood, at least take the effort and figure out what their favorite kind of woods are. Are they an exotic type of wood person? Are they a domestic type of wood person? I'll tell you, walnut is a beautiful wood for all this stuff to be turning because you only need a small piece. if you're going to do something like this, there's nothing stopping you from using maple and either using the trans tint. We did trans tint 2 weeks ago where we actually trans tinted it. You can do trans tint on a bottle stopper. So that, or you can use any of the Glue Boost coloring on here if you're going to do the Glue Boost finish on it. So that's our setup on this one. Nothing complicated. First thing that we're going to do is simply knock down the edge. And before I do that, I am going to point this out. Once again, we're using the Ed's new version of the tool rest here that's got the flat top on it. Why does that work? It works great for carbide tools because the carbide tool will always rest on here and slide on here where I'm going over it. I don't have to worry about this rocking motion. And the two don'ts that I told you about, don't ever turn this way and don't ever turn that way. You don't have to worry about it because my hand's going to hold it over when I'm doing that. So let me take a little chance at this one. And I am going to take the split second to lock this tool rest in. Up a little. Hand spin it around once, make sure I'm nowhere near. Mask on, and away we go. I'm going to just knock off the edges first. It has a weird sound. Maybe it's just my... I think it's my head.
It comes and goes, so it's not.
No. It's the my live center.
Yeah.
I forgot to put my vest on. So my car is going to be a mess tonight. Bottle stopper blanks are notoriously a denser plastic on here. So you can see here the ribbons and the shrivels. But I've already got my basic pattern on here, right? So now we can do whatever we want. Let's say that we want to cut this in at a little bit of an angle. I'm going to adjust my tool rest. I'm using the stopper itself as a bushing. So now I got that in there. Now let's make a little bit of a dimple. That's just kind of a nice little pattern I got going. And now I'm just going to take it and round it over. So I'm going to go to about this point here. Now the nice thing about this tool rest, I was just doing a demo on something else with basically the same thing. Notice here, if I'm going to make a round on here, when I'm here, the tool rest, if you think about it, if I had the tool rest, let's do this. I'm going to do it over the top. When I've got that tool rest there, this gap is pretty small, right? And so I'm well within my safety tolerance, right? But over here, this gap becomes kind of noticeably big. So if I took my tool rest, and that's the beauty of these smaller tool rests, and I put it there, it's hard for you to see if you were looking at the overhead, but it's on an angle, right? So I've got it mounted like this. So then this way, as I'm trying to get that nice round down here, I'm still got a lot of support behind me. I'm reading the questions. Now I'm going to take my tool rest, put it back on center, but you can see I'm basically creating my bottle stopper on it. Now the nice thing is on this, there's absolutely nothing from stopping me from taking this, putting it like this, turning it like that, and then finishing off this edge and giving me a nice round on it. So I don't know how much more you guys want to watch me turn a circle because I got one other project. What time is it?
25.
Okay. I got one other project, and I always like to leave 10 minutes at the end to ask questions.
Sure.
All right. So any questions on that one? On how to do it? So it's a simple bottle stopper. I think the cool thing was if you watched a demo, was it 2 weeks ago, Ed, where John was here, and he did the skull that he had embedded into it. I think that one came out looking really cool too. All right, Dean, is there a second giveaway?
I don't know. Let him decide when he wants to do it.
No.
Let's hold out a little bit more. We're trying to get people to put some more likes in this chat so we get some likes under this video. So just hold out a little while longer.
All right. Are you telling me that we have to pay people to like me? That's my entire life story, is that people had to pay to like me. All right, so that's that one. I got one final project, but there's two parts to it. I love this thing. So, right, so far we've made something, a hostess gift for the person who likes to have their wine. We've made a hostess gift or a small gift for someone who likes to have cheeses right? So you can give it away as a cheese thing. We've talked about the nutmegger. We've talked about the crochet set. We've talked about the barbecue forks and tongs like that. If you're you're Bobby Flay and you like to be out on that grill at the Mesa Grill in Las Vegas, in case he's watching, he wants to throw me a free pass out to Mesa Grill. Thank you, Bobby. We've got this. So there's one last thing: is what can we do for the guy who has everything? And so we can make him a shaving set. And so this is the brush assembly on here. Nope, my fault. So that's the brush that we're going to do. And there is a shaving handle. It makes a nice little set. Great place to eat. I've been there. Yeah, it's my favorite place to eat. I love going to Bobby Flay's in Vegas. So this is what we're going to make. And one of the things you're going to say is, well, what can we do to make it? So let's make the base first. So you've probably seen me use this 2-piece pen mandrel. And if you don't have one, I would have one just because it's so handy in all the different things that we can make on here. So this is the 2-piece pen mandrel. It's got the red box. I don't remember the name of it. I know you guys have it because that's where that's where I get it from.
Backwards.
Oh yeah, it's on backwards. I would have figured that out in a second.
I realized you would have. I saw that station.
Yep.
Why is it not spinning?
No. Why is it spinning too much?
Earlier today it was, why doesn't the lathe work? And then we remembered the second switch. So yeah, it's been one of those days.
I will tell you, it's kind of fun to come up here. I've got a friend of mine up here who's sitting in the background. And I will tell you, we've probably picked 30, 40 orders. And it does make for a long day, but a kind of a fun day.
More fun when we get to sit and talk instead of picking orders. But that's okay. We'll pick orders for a few days.
So I'm going to make it out of this chunk of blue, half wood, half acrylic, and this chunk of the shaver will be out of this chunk of half wood, half acrylic. Anybody want to guess where I got this?
From Exotics?
No. It's the peppermill blank that I made earlier. And what I did man, this mask is driving me nuts. The peppermill blank that we used to make the handles, they're 10 inches long, the peppermill blanks, and these handles are 7 inches long. So it meant that I have 3 inches of leftover half wood, half resin that I can use. And as I said numerous times, I don't throw any of it away. So I cut off a chunk that's 1.5 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches, which is the recommended for it. And then this was the little piece that was sitting next to it. And I cut off a chunk of that for making the handle. So I advocate keeping absolutely everything that I can for doing it. Now, the nice thing about this setup is that we can actually, the bushings on here, we're going to actually put on backwards. So the bushings on here are going to go that way, and the bushing on this one's going to go that way. It's just the bushings that they recommend and how they have it laid out. And just to make sure everybody knows how I'm doing it, in case you guys actually do read the instructions on any of this stuff, this is it. And you can see that the bushings are set up to actually go backwards.
You'll find that Penn State is doing that with some degree of regularity lately. If you look at any of their, or not many of their 7mm kits, they're using the bushing that they have had for years and turning it backwards. So be aware, if you get something and it says do backwards, you look at it and say that can't be. Not only can it be, it probably is.
So one comment in the corner that I see here that says, "Can you explain saving everything to my wife?" Here's the biggest trick that I can tell you on doing that is get your wife into turning. My wife turns about 200 to 300 pens a year herself. And so that made all the purchases I make, it's always a blast because I'll come home from exotics and I'll be honest, Ed knows, I think the reason that he wanted to go 4 times this month for me doing demos is he knew that I'd be up here buying stuff 4 times every month. And yes, I leave with a ton of stuff that I bought. But once you do that, I will bring home a piece of burl and she'll go, "Oh my God, I love that piece of burl." So it's always kind of fun. And what I do now is I just have my wife in on it. Dean, did I miss any other questions?
You did not.
Okay.
While you're starting to turn, I figured you'd love this one. The keyword for the next cheese set is scrap. So type scrap into the chat to be entered.
All right, I'm going to wait a second so I can watch them type scrap. And I can grab a little something to drink for 1 second. And then if I say scrap, do I get to win?
I think you've overset it already. So you burned up your scrap.
I say it every single time we do a piece like this. All right, so while they're doing that, I'm simply going to take this piece and I'm going to round it over. I'm going to find a spot to pause. I'm simply going to adjust my tool rest. There is no scrap, just unused pieces. I agree with you 100%. So I rounded it over. So now I just want to figure out what pattern I want to do. And I'm going to do this fade pattern where it's kind of a ball on top. And then it's going to just fade down to that last bushing. So you can see here, it's pretty easy to get that fade in, right? Especially if I'm using my round cutter. I'm going to walk over, find my sandpaper. Always want to make sure that I'm against my bushing. If I really wanted to be perfect about it, which I like to do, I can stop the lathe, and then I can go with the grain. Even if this is acrylic, I want to take the scratches off sideways, cross grain, end grain, cross grain, end grain, even if I'm working on acrylic. So there was someone who, when we talk about scratch, there was someone who, in one of my first ones that we did, I had a piece of acrylic scrap here, and they said, could I have it? I did leave it with Ed and Don for whoever said that they wanted it. So it's still sitting here. Nothing more boring than watching someone sand. Did we get a winner, Dean?
Just about to draw it. Robert Nelson.
Oh, speaking of Rob Nelson,
Rob Nelson, he might be a nice guy if you had a chance to come meet him at the Midwest Pen Turners Gathering this year in April. Rob has always been one of my volunteer demonstrators. Spectacular demonstrator. He's got a nice following on it. And I believe Rob has committed. And so, Rob, if you want to even put on there and market what you're going to be doing as your demo, but it's going to be a threading process. So there's the ball. And it's just simply a press and fitting. So you would simply take the top and the bottom. So can we zoom in on the other camera, Dean? So that's what I would do for the brush. And then the brush simply gets glued in on the top mechanism of this one. So that's where the brush gets glued in. Is there a stand also that you can pick up?
you can buy several different stands that
Go ahead.
some have the brush and the razor. Some have just the brush. Some have just the razor. Actually, just the razor. I don't think there is one from just the brush. But yeah, there's a lot of different qualities of brush available, and we handle several. But if you're going to do this, if you're going to learn about shaving and shaving brushes and so forth, get to know a little about it, because the people that you're selling to do know what they want. And some of those brushes retail for $75, $80, $85 just for the brush, not for the handle and all that, just the brush. So yeah, it's good to know what you're doing. And yeah, we handle a variety of choices for you, so you can kind of cater whatever it is that you're doing to the clientele that you're working with. There you go. You got your chance to finally fix that thing, huh?
Uh-huh. And so we got one more project that we're going to do tonight. So I am going to take my bushings from this one.
So
and as
Rob,
always, go ahead.
Rob says he is going to be using thread to wrap on a brass tube to create all types of designs. While we're talking MPG, Mark, would you like me to? You haven't even seen it yet. Would you like me to talk about my demo is going to look like?
Yes, please.
So let me flip over to my camera. So what Dean's going to be demoing.
Are you just going to be talking about filling, Dean, or are you going to be talking about generation of that circular?
I can definitely talk about generation. Again, no audio. Oh, man. Dang it. All right, they should hear me now. Can they hear me? I bet you my moderator screen was broken. So what I was showing on there was, I go back. This one should be able to show it. So at the MPG, I will be demoing. I'll probably have the laser with anyway, so I'll be able to show some demoing of the laser itself. But it will be showing in filling an engraved blank with UV resin.
That looks cool. That looks really cool.
UV resin is really cool because it's something that you can do very quick with very little material and no wait time. It's very easy to do on the fly, which it'll make a great demo on the fly in terms of what it is to fill with resin. So it's a
Dean,
little less painful than some of the mixed and pour resins.
Dean, if it's okay with you, I think we could let the people in the audience determine if it's a great demo. I mean, I know that's being a prognosticator on your end that it's a great demo, but we'll let them be the judge of that.
Yeah. This is where I make some smart aleck comments and put out a poll on how good Mark's demos are versus somebody else's.
So, all right. So all we got left now is now that we've got that done, we just simply got to make. Man, am I having a hard time with this mask not tightening up? Now all we got to do is make the razor. Just fine. Yep, that's all we need. So it's all locked in. This is going to be... Yeah. I know. There's more than one nut loose with Mark. Yep. This is simply going to be turning a pen. That's all we're going to do to get that razor. Because this blank was oblong, it's a little bit harder to start. I don't know if you guys heard me. Because the blank was oblong, it's a little bit harder to get it round because I've got a lot more surface where I'm cutting in the air and having nothing cut. And then I'm having just a little spot where I'm actually making that cut. And you can actually see it with the screen. You can actually see the screen where it's actually splitting. So I get it round right there. And you can hear a little difference, right? Where I'm getting the resin cut versus where I'm actually getting the wood cut. So I'm on resin. Barely hear anything. Then we're going to come up to wood. So you can see, I mean, that's just a beautiful color on it. And you can see the shocking resemblance to the barbecue handle we made earlier, which is a resemblance to the final spatula we made earlier. So we'll finish this off. And we're getting close, right on time?
7:47. Could be a 20.
I'm going to just bump this in just a little bit more. So I'm going to do a technique that I started when I do pen making. And so I'll do it on top so it's easier to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the tool not touch the bushing, but kind of find the bushing and then pull it up and roll it over. And then I'm going to let it find on this side, find the bushing, pull it up and let it over. So dramatically, it's going to be an incredibly rounded over piece like this. And then what that means is I've already established my bushings, so now I don't have to get anywhere near them again. So I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to cut across. So I got this one established where I've got it rolled. Now I'm going to do it on this side. And Dean, I don't know if you can zoom in on this front camera. Right about there. This one probably could be just a hair more down on it. But can you see I've already established my bushings. Now I don't have to worry about going near that bushing again, undercutting the bushing, overcutting the bushing. Now I'm just going to make some cuts to establish my final pattern. Because I don't like anything that's just kind of flat, I'm going to go to the middle. And it's kind of fun. If you look real close, you could see a white line and you could see that I'm following in the white line. I can actually see where I'm cutting. So I'm going to try to do that right now. I'm going to actually make my cut, start it, and you'll be able to see a white line here. Tell me that's not a great looking blank. And so the question is, do I pour my own blanks in this case? Any of the Peppermill blanks, they are my own blanks. I do my own pouring, but I will tell you, I learned a heck of a lot about pouring and making blanks from John. Normally my demo partner up here. John is spectacular, and John helped me figure out how to do, these bigger pours on something like, Dean, I don't know if you want to jump to the bigger camera, please. You could just see the coloring on this is going to be spectacular. And so these are raw burls that I just put in here. The difference between my blanks and John's blanks are, John's blanks look spectacular before you even turn them. Sometimes you don't want to even turn them. My blanks are meant for utility. So I can see where my wood is in here. I can see where everything is. But I don't spend near the amount of time of making them perfect the way John does, right? Because in this case, if I was going to do that barbecue set, I'm simply going to take my bandsaw. I'm going to cut it this way. I'm going to cut it this way. I'm going to save 2 pieces for the tongs. Then I'm going to have the fork, and I'm going to have the cutter over there. And before that, I would cut off, take it to 7 inches, cut it off here, and that's that extra chunk that I had to make the shaving set.
So long story short, what you saw tonight is that block, or that size block, being turned into 10 products.
So it got turned into all 4 of the, just this one block alone got turned into all 4 of the barbecue set.
Right.
It got the bottom of the shaving brush. It got the shaving brush itself. And the cool part is I have chunks left over to do something else with it. I'm going to guess this probably could be a Wall Street.
Yep.
See, it's going to be a diamond knurl. I was waiting to see what you'd say.
2.2 inches.
Yep. So this could be a diamond knurl.
It's actually 2.
Yeah, probably. Or, yeah, something like that. So the nice thing about something like this, too, is there's not a lot of grain. You can cut this and make a slimline pen out of it.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about the top matching off with the bottom or anything like that.
Mark Gregg asks, how big was your block that you made?
So when I originally make them, I always make them 3 by 3 by 10. And the key to it is I use Alumilite slow. So I don't have to worry about any kind of checking or anything in there. It's all done with Alumilite slow. So let's just recap. What did we make tonight? We made kind of backwards. We just made a shaving brush and a shaving set as a possible gift for a dad or a grandpa or something like that. Then before that, we made a bottle stopper, and we could do a couple of these different bottle stoppers that we have here. So this is the one that we just turned. This is the gear shift one that I did. And once again, there was a pepper mill at one point that went out that was this color, half wood, half acrylic. Before that, we made the set here. For the cheese set. And before that, we made the spatula for the barbecue set. But the nice thing about it is all these techniques, the SpectraPly technique, everything else, you can see here. That's why I use SpectraPly on the nutmegger, and we talked about it at that point, getting everything to line up. This is a salt and pepper set. We talked about the different pepper mills that we have here, the beating tool. The beating tool is done with a pen blank, half wood, half acrylic. This is the meat shredder. Couple other things that we talked about. These make great Hostess and Hostess gifts if you're brought to a party. This one is the wine bottle opener. If you have a little bit of a wine. And an ice cream scoop. So just to sum it up, if it's okay to take a minute and sum up everything that we've done over the course of the last 4 weeks. I think the first day that I started this, I talked about like pizza cutters and utility things. And I talked about the first one I made was just in maple. And maple, you get the gift, you go, oh my God, that's great. And then it just goes in the drawer. Then I thought, well, you know what? I got to show that I got some talent. And so I put all these beads and coves and stuff like that in this. Too much. So if you notice, all my designs that I do for a lot of this stuff are simple designs. There's not a lot of beading and coving. I did it a couple weeks ago on some of the pepper mills, and then I burned a line into it. I love doing that one as an accent. You know, the majority of the eye and the focus is going to be on the shape, and then I'll just use that to do an accent or something like it. So with that, I've kind of covered in the last 4 weeks gifts for kids. We did that last week with the slingshot. The week before we did setting your dining room table. The first week we did just some miscellaneous kitchen items. Hopefully over the course of the last month, we've had some good time together. We've had some laughs together, and hopefully there's some inspiration in some of the stuff that you guys, want. And all that I ask is send emails to sales at Exotic Blanks and let them know if there's anything else that you guys want to see. Ed, you want to jump in for the last few minutes?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank Mark sincerely. Mark and I are good friends, and it is always good to watch him. You'll find that the way he makes things makes it look very simple. And for many of these things, it is somewhat easy to do. But if you pay attention and if you go back and look at the videos over the last couple of weeks, you'll find an awful lot of tips in there that just are not published anywhere. And I think you find if you watch the presentations that we do, all three of us, you'll find an awful lot of information that you just can't find anyplace else. There's a lot of turning history and a lot of camaraderie that we give each other a terrible time. So thank you for watching. And most important, thank Mark for all the work that he's put into this. Every time he comes up here, he's got 4 or 5 projects that he's already done for this week, and he'll bring up the next 4 projects that he's going to do for the coming week. He has put a tremendous amount of time and effort into this, and we appreciate it. So with that, as always, I thank...
Well, with that, I want to say, don't forget Midwest Pen Turners Gathering, April 17th and 18th. The sooner you sign up, the better chance you have for that lovely jet lathe that we're going to be giving away. Woodcraft is also a sponsor with us. And Woodcraft, if you guys are looking for a lathe, Woodcraft gives us or donates, they don't donate, they lend us 3 lathes. They're jet lathes, and then they'll sell them off the floor right at cost. So if you want to pick up a brand new lathe at a couple $100 discount, you will not find a better discount on it. Send an email to me at mpginfo@yahoo.com or sales at Exotic Blanks. The first 3 people, and we've already got one, that's someone, I think Terry asked for one already, so he's number 1 on the list. If you guys get in on the list, you're guaranteed to get it. We always give them away in the order that we get them.
I think Dean was raising his finger like he's got a plan here that he'd like to add.
No, I do have one other question that Sarah asked a little while back. Do we know when our next live will be?
January.
Is it that Tuesday, or are we?
No, we're going back to Thursdays.
In January.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it the 3rd or 4th week? Or have we said on the 4th week?
4th week is going to be what we're going to try to do. Yeah. 4th week on Thursday, 22nd.
January 22nd. I know that's going to leave them a lot of time without having seen either one of us or John.
Well, it's terrible, but they'll probably get over it.
Yeah.
If they're, if you really want to, you can go back and look at some of our old videos on YouTube, and we haven't changed a lot, so we'll probably look kind of like that. So,
well, no, you know what? And in all sincerity, if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, I don't tell my email address on this because God knows who's going to be watching the YouTube videos. But if you have my phone number, you have my email address, send me any kind of questions on it. If you have an idea or something, please send it. Worst case scenario is send it to sales at exoticblanks.com. And they always forward it up on me.
So thank you all, and thank you, Dean. Thank you, Mark.
Dredges of winter. Oh, man, who's got the dredges of winter?
Well, the thing about that is, yes, we will plan on it on the 22nd, subject to change with notice. If it turns out that we're getting 20 inches of snow, they're not driving.
But as I look at it, it's John's turn. So I will just be in the car supporting John or calling him that morning and saying, hey, John, it's too much snow for me. Do you want to go out there?
It's nice having an ex-police escort.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll stay on for like 2-3 minutes just to see if there's any questions, comments. In all sincerity, let me wish everybody out there a great holiday season.
Exactly. You've made ours a very nice holiday season just with the amount of business you've given us in the last week. So we do appreciate it. Thank you. 20 inches, is that a good day? 20 inches, that's a good couple of hours.
Yeah, I think, what did we get? I think, so I'm just outside of Batavia, Illinois, and I think they estimated just yesterday we got about 7.5 or 8 inches.
Okay.
And then we got a little bit overnight on it too.
Yeah, it depends on who you listen to. They said we had 14 inches at one place, and then the reality is we're next to Lake Michigan. Those of you who are near here know that. But as a result, next to Lake Michigan, you'll pick up another many inches, depending on how it's actually snowing. But this was a fine snow for a very long time. And then as time went on, it got even worse.
And there's a thank you up there. One unsung hero of this every single month is Dawn.
That's right.
Dawn's behind the scenes. She always makes sure that our headsets are working. Yep. She always makes sure that everything is powered up. She's an incredible part of a member of this team.
And deciding what's going to be the free stuff.
And I did get a favor this month where, because John couldn't come up, Nathan came up here with me. Nathan's sitting in the background. Nathan took the ride up here with me, which means he had to listen to me for an hour and a half on the ride up, and he'll have to listen to me talk on the ride back home.
Not a problem.
I was waiting to see if we'd hear from him at all. And he can't hear me.
No, actually, I can hear you.
Actually, yeah, he has a headset.
Oh, he's got a headset. Oh, awesome. That's funny. Of
So
course, for a little while there, they couldn't hear me because I hit the mute button on me again. And when I was telling you about 12.5 inches of snow, which you corrected and said 14, but
well, it depends on who you listen to, Dean.
Hey, Dean, if I could mute you, I'd mute you too. Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? I meant to mute myself. Sorry. I meant to mute myself. And as always, one last thing. As we get into New Year's, please send us topics. We're always looking for topics on there. I know what was a couple of them? Color casting and casting came up in this one that people were looking for more on doing some of the casting. I think that's always an excellent one to have John do something like that. John's creativity is off the charts.
One other thing that you could send us, Mark and I have talked the last couple of weeks about the possibility of coming out with what you might call tips and tricks. Just things that we look at to fix pens, things we look at to do with pens, etc. If you have anything that you think you're the only one in the world who's doing it, send me and you want to share it with the rest of the world, send me an email just telling me a little bit about what you do with your pens or you do to fix things. Because I'm trying to figure out how we can fill an hour and a half with this. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of tips and tricks that you would benefit from. And I think of them about 5 to 10 minutes after the camera goes off, which doesn't do any of us a lot of good. So
Cosmet asks, is there any bushings out there that are better than the OEMs? I don't know of any. But
well, the ones that I think they're talking about when we came up with the 11As, cigar bushings, and I showed why I think it's better. And since then, we sold probably 90% those bushings. We still have some people who buy Big Ben bushings because they like the look of that pen. More power to you. But at least they gave you a chance to think about what you could do to that pen to make it look better. Greg, outside the box mold making, if you've ever watched John at MPG, and I know you get around, but you may not have been able to.
Well, but let's not forget. Let's get, if it's okay to give him a plug.
Yeah.
Greg is the founder of the Midwest
That's
Pen
right.
Turners Gathering.
That's right.
We wouldn't have the MPG if Greg wasn't out there. He did it for 4 years outside of Champaign. Then it went over to what's
Ohio. Yeah.
that guy's went over to I'll remember the name. Then it went to 4 years of in Ohio, and then now it's kind of laid its home in Chicago. Hey, and someone said Dean's in control of the audio and camera. I just want to remind you that there are 3 cameras here in front of me, and they say that the camera adds 15 pounds. So that's 45 pounds these 3 cameras are adding to me. So when you see me in real life, you're going to say, wow, you look normally 45 pounds bigger on TV.
And actually,
Where'd Mark go?
significant. He is
Where'd Mark
significantly
go?
smaller than he used
Yeah,
to.
where'd Mark go?
Mark is a motivated man. He needed to lose weight, and he did. That's very rare in this society.
Yeah, Rich Course.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
am
Rich
so sorry about that. Rich is one of the nicest guys. Rich took it over for 4 years, and then asked the guys, there was twice that that they were looking for someone to change. I'll tell you, Greg, you know better than anybody, especially when you were starting it. It's not an easy venture to start out with doing it, especially when you were the pioneer on it. And now, I will say, on average, if you don't know about the Midwest Pen Turners Gathering, on average, we get about 320 to 350 people who come out to the event. I love it because you make friends. I've got a few friends from Canada who come in every year just for that event. So any more questions for us before we bid you adieu and go to our Christmas events?
There was one. Bob H asked, and I've never seen anything but wood. So I told him if he's got something in mind, maybe Eddie could send you an email. But he says, is there any source that you know of for cocktail smoker parts? And I've always seen when you do a smoker, it's out of wood. It's a glass top wood thing. But if you're familiar with something else, I don't know. But I said send a picture or something off to Exotics if there's something he thinks there's.
I'm not familiar with any.
I don't know what it is even.
So from what I've seen of cocktail smokers, you put it on top of the glass and it captures smoke in and stuff for cocktails, especially. But I've always only ever seen it with wood. So like I said, if he's got something, I figure he can send you it and we can see what we can find.
No, I know nothing about it. It's one of the very many things in life I know nothing about. The difference is I'm getting old enough to realize it.
All right,
So all I know is I'm gonna go pick some orders.
Dawn tells me you got to pick your own order.
I've got 2 orders here that I gotta go pick. So have a great holiday, everybody. Be safe and thank you.
Thanks a lot, everybody, and have a good night.
Thanks, all.